Our last speaker is TJ Joseph. She's the operations manager at Honolulu Habitat for Humanity. And she will share her story tonight of the dream of home ownership and creating that space.
All right. E ho'opili mai. Repeat after me. Velina. Ano ai. Aloha. Aloha ahi ahi kākou, o wau o TJ, lono kahi o kalani ke ala anuhea, all Joseph, no wai manalo mai au. My name is TJ Joseph. I am born and raised in Waimanalo, and I greet you this morning with the true sense of aloha that I learned from Auntie Betty Jenkins. Born and raised in Waimanalo 20 years ago, fell in love with a Waimanalo boy named Levi Joseph, who is the youngest child of Tanya and Christopher. And I am the youngest sibling of William Ald and Arden Momilani Madaris. Together we have 4 beautiful children. And na'uka ho'oli i ka ho'olauna me o ko i kia po. It is my absolute pleasure and honor to be with you in this space this evening with this opportunity to share about home. In the book, Bowl of Light by Hank Vesselman, Halimakua says, "We are living in a dream." Makua glanced around at our surroundings. "Take the halimana over there," he pointed, indicating the small thatched edifice on the surface of the heiau at the entrance of the sanctuary called Hale Okiave. That building came into being through the dreaming of its builders. And then it was transferred into this world through the work of craftsmen, according to the plans created by the dreamers who dreamed it. The dream world is where that hale really exists. It has a dream aspect there, and it was from there that it was sourced. We have to learn to live in the dream once again. And that's where my story begins. And for me and my husband, our dream was the dream of owning a home. A dream that we believed in so much and talked about so often that we could see, touch, smell, taste that dream. A dream that when we shared with other people, we knew that the tools to make that happen would be there. And now looking back, the tools were always there. It's about the opportunity for us to look. The opportunities that were gonna come, the dedication that we would have to budget and save, as well as the courage to take on the unknown and know that every step of the way, if we work, we would get there. In 2006, the Department of Hawaiian Homelands were offering 2 new subdivisions in Waimanalo, total of 100 homes. My father-in-law, Christopher Levi Joseph, had been on the list since 1960s. And in 2006, Levi and I were blessed with our only son, our oldest boy, Colt. So his 2 sisters said, "Boy, take this opportunity. Go to the meeting and hopefully you get selected." My father-in-law was number 328 on that list, and they go in order. So we had to hope that 200 people and some said no so we could say yes. And on July 22nd, Levi gave me a call and said, "Hun, I just signed at 51. Crying over the phone, he was so excited. Our dream of owning a home was real. We were living with my parents, which I love and will live with them forever and ever, but difficult to have your baby sleeping on the bed in between you and as your family grows. So we decided now is the time. Dating as long as we have. In lieu of getting married, we're gonna elope, which is very difficult having a Hawaiian family and having your first baby luau with 500 people, I just have to say. But we would elope and we would save all that money for our down payment. So $10,000 we saved, and we were so excited. We also were excited in hopes that we were expecting another child. However, we weren't. I had a yolk sac tumor the size of a watermelon growing on my ovary, and the battle with stage 4 ovarian cancer began right after. So with the blessings being and our intention of saving that money, that's the money that we use to pay for our medical expenses. That's the money that we use when he would stay in the hospital with me. And As the months went past, and as trying as it was, blessed to have family and to push through, I ended up being cancer-free within 6 months. 6 months later, all that cancer was able to leave and all of that cancer medicines, and we expected baby number 2, Cruz. So now it's back on track. I go back to work finally, working part-time. 4 years later, 2010, expecting our first daughter, Case. It's time for us to finally see if we can qualify for a home in that subdivision. So the Kumu House subdivision comes and they have 50 lots. 45 of them are going to be turnkey. So Levi and I go to a conventional bank, and pre-cancer, we qualify for $300,000, $400,000. And for the Department of Homeland, who are going to create turnkey homes, that was right what we needed to get that 3-bedroom home. Now we go from double income to single income, well, 1.5, and that $10,000 is no longer there. We couldn't quite afford that conventional home loan. The bank looked at my husband and said, hey, if you want, I can include your overtime and we can make this happen. And I looked at him and I'm like, is that really living within our means? Is that home that we're gonna work day in, day out to pay that mortgage, and knock on wood, something happened to you, we would lose it. We would foreclose. So in 2010, we went to a meeting with an organization known as Honolulu Habitat for Humanity. And they had 3 things that you needed to do. The first was, do you have a need or an opportunity? And we did have a need. Baby number 3 on the way, 2 boys sleeping on the bed, your husband and yourself lying on the hali'i on the floor, but an opportunity to build a home. And we've tried a different way and it didn't work. The second was ability to repay. Yeah, maybe we couldn't afford to get a conventional home loan for that $200,000, $300,000 home. However, we did have an income that could sustain us. My husband being a city and county rubbish man, and me being a nonprofit preschool teacher. When you build a Habitat home, what you're paying for is the materials and the fees to build it, because all of that work cost, that labor cost, is all of those volunteers. And that's what helps to make that home attainable and affordable. The third thing was your ability or your willingness to partner. Partner meaning sweat equity, building your home alongside. My husband and I are both blessed with beautiful, wonderful, loving families. Both of our grandparents built the homes our parents were raised in. So we looked at each other as this is an opportunity to follow what we know best, and that's to follow the examples of our grandparents. And what better road are you on when you follow those of your ancestors? So we applied and we prayed, and to this day I still have the voice message of Shyla Campbell saying, you have been qualified to be a Habitat homeowner. We looked at each other and we knew now is the time. Took a couple more years for that subdivision to get prepared, but in 2013 we were ready to build, and that's exactly what we did. Every Saturday we would kiss our babies on the head. 1, 3, 5, and 11. Blessed with all these babies. Kiss them on the head. Grandparents would take care of them, and we would go out and build. Every morning we would greet our volunteers. We would thank them so much for that time. But it's such a wonderful feeling. And we took it as, if you're coming out here to help me, I'm going to work as hard or if not harder than you. And that was that spirit, that energy of reciprocation. They were coming to this Aina, this land that was ours, that we knew was going to be ours, and we would work together to build this home. And it wasn't easy. Trust me. Preschool teacher, even a mommy of 4, getting up in the morning, dressing up like Bob the Builder, getting your shovel and your OO, and that's all you have, no mud gun at that time. Thank you, Jim, for getting some mud guns now. But no mud gun at that time, digging the holes, but knowing that the holes are going to be the holes for your foundation. So we worked really hard. We had 24 footings in all that we had to dig for, and I know because it was 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet, and we had OSHA classes, and you had to make sure that everything was all good. I would love a slide. That would have been perfect. But we dug all those holes. So being that our children were under the age of 16, they couldn't come to a build site. So we had to do what you do, pack them in the van, sneak them past so they could see. So we show them all these holes and we explain to them, this is the footings that's going to be the foundation. And if there's one thing that's the most important thing of any structure, it is the foundation. That foundation, if solid, is what will hold that structure above there forever. Forever. So you sit down with your kids and you say, okay, so if the foundation is the most important thing of your home, what is the most important thing of our family? And we looked at each other and we explained to them that it's your family values. It's those things, those root family values that are the most important thing. Like the Oli I did, and I had you say Allah with me, Auntie Betty Jenkins says her Betty's Bees. So first is what you believe in, those values. And then that's how you behave, because that's what you believe. And then you become and you be. And that's what we wanted. So on our kitchen nook, we opened up our floor plan. The boys' rooms are here. Girls' rooms are here. Our room, the kitchen. And we marked off what all those footings are going to be. And we said, okay, what are our values? And where do we want to put them? So we asked the boys, and Colt at the time was 11 and Cruzy was 5. I said, okay, so boys, how does a Joseph boy behave? What do we believe in? And my 11-year-old said, Mom, is strength and honor. And I knew he watched Gladiator with his father recently. That was such the answer. Mom, is strength and honor. And it was okay. So the 5-year-old Cruiser was like, yeah, Mommy, because my daddy's strong. So we're strong. So I was like, okay, we will pick that for you guys. Now my 3 and my 1-year-old, who's, giggling on the side, I said, what about you? When you guys go to Kula or school and Mommy's teaching you how you're supposed to behave. And she said, we always have to be kind, Mommy, and we have to take care of one another. So to be kind and to malama, to care for. And that's what we chose for them. So we got these little pieces of paper and we wrote them all down. Okay, malama, care for. Ikaika, strong. Hano hano, honor. And even for my husband and I, in our bedroom, what do we want? We want kalana, we want forgiveness. We want hilina'i, we want trust. Honor lanai, we have 3 posts. We want faith, hope, love. Those are the things that we want. It's most important in our home. So after we did that activity with the kids, the next morning we walked down to Amanala Beach. We watched the sun come up and we prayed to Keakua. And we said, this is what we are asking, Keakua. We ask that this morning, when we pour our foundation in those forms, that it be strong, that the intention we're going to put in this aina lasts here not only today, but for generations and generations of the legacy that we not only want to leave, but what we want to honor. We got there early to the site so nobody would see, and my husband and I walked around and put those slips of paper in every single footing of that home. Then here comes the truck with the concrete. It's a whole lot of concrete, let me tell you. And as you're ready and that concrete is coming out, I remember being so overwhelmed and being so amazed. I would liken it to like the day when we welcome our kids into this world. Just this moment that it gets shot and looking at one another, and I'm holding this form that I had made the rebar for, and I made the form, thank you very much. And my husband is holding that concrete, and only he can because he's 6'3", 300 pounds, brother can do some stuff. And it's shooting out, and we're looking at each other like, we're doing this. So wonderful, we are doing this. So the day of our foundation was done, and then you begin to build, and we would take our kids on drive-bys. So subfloor is done. It's a moonlit night. We pull up with the van, trying to be all sly, put the headlights on, blast on some Van Morrison, and it's a marvelous night for the moon dance with the babies on the subfloor. Make sure you don't step over the edge. And your husband is flying up plywood that only he can throw and catch. I don't know where he's throwing that to. And you're harnessed 20 feet above the ground with your hammer and nail. No nail guns at that time too. We've developed, a lot since then. But doing shingles and looking at one another like, this is what's gonna make sure that we're protected. That when those rain and winds come, nothing's gonna fall apart. And to be that high, and believe me, it wasn't always this love-dovey thing with your husband. When you're building a house, there's some Saturdays, like you go to the back of the house, I'll go to the front of the house. But when you're in that harness above that thing and there's only you two, you look at each other like, this is it. We're gonna do this. And after that's done, all of the rest of it is finesse. Not really finesse, but it's finesse. Doing all the interior work, picking out what your flooring color is gonna look like, picking out your blue house because you're Portuguese and you need a blue house. You know, things like that. Telling your husband you don't need a blue countertop, that's a bit much, but the blue house will be good. All of those aspects. So a year and a half later, because we built with 6 other families in our cul-de-sac, it was time for the dedication. And it wasn't only a prideful moment for us to be so proud of what we did, it was also so grateful for all of those who came and helped us, but we wanted to show her off. She was ready. So we walked into the mountains, we picked lawai, because I'm also Hawaiian, so you need to have lawai baskets, and you need tea leaf, and you need pa'akai, and all of those important things. You need to pule before it happens. But getting her ready, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning, it's cold, the moon is up, and we're there with the home. Here we come, and it's time for dedication. And when the executive director gives you those keys, and that's the key for your house. So amazing, so unreal, such a moment that just, it's a memory you'll always remember. And being like kids, I'm sorry, here in Hawaii, sometimes you have the child before you get married. It is what it is. But now like kids, we're newlyweds. My husband is carrying me over the threshold of our home. Our babies are following with us, and we go in this house, and now it's our home, and I can just feel how alive it is. And I feel that all of those values that we put in that foundation is now seeping through every piece of furniture, through every room, and how every room has a purpose. It has a mo'olelo, it has a story. That when you come into my kitchen, you'll be fed and you'll be healed. That when you come into our lanai, you'll be greeted with love and faith and hope. That when you come through my driveway and leave, that little sip of viva ole or courage will follow not only you, but my children. So that was our dream. It was that dream of home ownership, and life is what you make it. It so is. And our life was made because of what we did with our home. And now that I work with Honolulu Habitat for Humanity, I joined maybe about 3 months after my home was completed. I get the opportunity to have that dream with others, to share with them that anything is possible, whether it's a dream of home ownership or living with intention, or if it's something in you that you want to do, share that dream, because it is in the dream world that it already exists. You just have to remember and share it with others. So with that, I want to leave you with a fond aloha, a mahalo, and good evening.